Sorry about that. I don't know exactly what's going on there. The SDK file for AER is not working, but I've got a different one pulled up, so ignore the turn down for what logos on there. But we'll go back into racing. Sorry about that again. We'll get everybody back up and running here. Towards the front, we've got Jared Mogger leading the race right now in the 00. Mark Morton in the 12 sitting second. As everybody files back in here, I do apologize again, as I said. For some reason, it was just the SDK file was not working correctly with the Streamlabs file. So I've got a file that works right now. I'll have to edit everything and get that fixed up for tomorrow night as well. But I'll have it fixed for Monday for sure next week. So I do apologize for that. But we're back up and running now. If you guys are following back in, like I said, I apologize for the mistake there with SDK. Don't know what's going on with it. Ignore everything you see on the top as far as logos and things written in. It is AER that you guys are watching, not turned down for what, but that is the only SDK file for some reason that is working. But back here with you guys filing back in, like I said, Jared Mogger in the 00 out front, currently 15 laps into the run, leading the race and the fastest truck in the field right now. Mark Morton currently sitting second, Stan Kernathan sitting third in the 43, Charles Mosley Jr. in fourth, Jamie Haynes fifth, Michael Miller sitting sixth, Jeff Nose seventh, Michael Carter eighth, Nick Gowan up to ninth from starting 11th. Austin Greer, for the Greer family out there watching, is currently sitting 10th. So we're getting fired back up in here. We're getting people back in. Track racing is going. Only the one caution so far. That was the 5 truck spinning around the track to start this race. So he's trying to work way back up in the field. He's currently sitting 13th after that spin to start the race. But like I said, I do apologize to everybody that's coming back in here. There's an issue, I guess, with the SDK files. Only one I could get to work is this one here for turn down for what. So like I said, just ignore the turn down for what logos and everything. You are watching AER Truck Series race number 15 at Auto Club, the final race of the regular season, as Jared Mogger, who sits second in the points right now, is out front and leading by almost 2 seconds in the 00 Chevy that he is running. And we've got 17 laps completed out of 80 tonight. 45 Austin Greer right there in 10th, trying to work his way back through. The 38 of Dylan Picklesimmer is sitting there battling on the 5. You see him giving him the bump going down the backstretch. 5 got a lot of damage on the right side and left side of that truck. Heavy scrapage on the left side as he spun around after completing turn 2 on lap 1. Got into the gas just a little too early, spun those tires and went around in a 360. Made some contact with a couple other drivers, but trying to work his way back to the field, currently sitting 13th. Running about a half second off of pace, so he might be holding these guys up a little bit. Draft is a factor here at Auto Club. They're trying to draft up to the bumper of Nick Gowan in that 31, who is your current points leader, and I think pretty much the nobody can catch him in the points for getting the regular season championship completed tonight. So Jared Mogger gonna probably wind up second. Jason Fensler and Jimmy Haynes are close to him in the point standings, so he is still gonna need a big night if he wants to complete that second spot going into the playoffs next week. This is the last race of the regular season, race number 15, brought to you by KS Game 51 Broadcasting, and it's gonna be an adventure of one. Obviously, last race of the regular season, and we've got all kinds of issues with SDK, but we're back up and running. Ignore the logos you guys see on screen for turn down for what. This is not a turn down for what race. It is an AER Truck Series race, but it's the only SDK file that would pop up for some reason. So I'm running that SDK file until I get it figured out after this race. I'll have it back and working everything for next Monday's race starting the playoffs. Gonna work our way through the field. Stan Kernathan now moved up into second in his bullseye, number 43. Love that paint scheme, that red, white, and black. Mark Morton currently sitting second in his number 12. Good race by Mark so far. Jamie Haynes riding in the 53, right behind Mark Morton for 4th position. Charles Mosley Jr. in the 89. Wendy's machine up 12 positions right now, sitting in 5th. Jeff No in the 55, right behind him in that Winn-Dixie Mark Martin throwback paint scheme for Aeons Motorsports, currently sitting there in 6th. Mike Carter in the 2. Loving that Nick Sanchez paint scheme as well. Should have probably got his first win this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway, but it went to another first-time winner, Carson Hocevar. So loving that number 2 paint scheme, but Michael Carter currently riding in 7th. Jeremiah Nelson sitting 13th in the point standings. Needing 1 point tonight to tie Jim Ott, who is not in the field. So as long as he collects 1 point or 2 points, he is locked into the playoffs. Mike Miller, who's currently sitting there in 9th in the points, is currently sitting 9th in the race in that 15 Toyota Tira D, riding around right now behind Jeremiah Nelson, who's being chased by Austin Greer in the 45 Toyota machine. That micro center paint scheme coming strong on the back bumper of Mike Miller. Nick Gowan, in the 31-year overall points leader and regular season champion driver, currently sitting in 11th. Jason Fensler currently sits 3rd in the points. Started on the pole tonight, but spun after lap 1, turn 2, and got some heavy damage there. Jorge Rincon making his return tonight to AER, currently sitting there in the 12th spot, swapping positions with the 38. And the 28 truck does have some damage on his right side. Dylan Picklespire in the 38, currently sitting there right there in the 13th spot. The driver who just went around him in the 23 is Michael York. He is scored 1 lap down. I think he was involved in that first lap caution that came out with the 5 truck going around. James Ledford in the 8, also affected by that as he started in the top 5. Got some damage on the left side as well. Adam Botten in the 94, currently running 15th in his Toyota 213 Simware.com paint scheme. Doug King back here in 16th in that High Rock paint scheme. Ethan Greek back here in the 91. Second race back for Ethan. Had a good race last week, and then I think it didn't go well towards the end. Charles Mosley Jr., though, off track, going down pit road, coming out now and trying to get back up to speed to get to the backstretch. He did go 1 lap down, but he is the first truck to come down pit road and grab tires and fuel. 23 laps into the race right now out of 80. Back up front, Jared Mager continuing to lead this race. He is out by 1.7 seconds over Stan Kernathan, who currently sits 2nd. More pit stops underway as more guys are coming down, and it looks like Charles Moses Jr. is hitting pit road again. I don't know if he got a pit road penalty, speeding penalty, something like that. But he is coming back down pit road as I go to find him right now. He is currently running around into the pits and see if he stops. And he is. He's hitting pit road again for another pit stop. So, unfortunately, not a good start to the race for Charles Mosley Jr. there. But Jay Greer, 63, if you're still out there, your son is riding around in 8th right now. Mike Miller family, if you're out there, your dad is currently running in 9th in that 15. And actually, it looks like Mike Miller's got some heavy damage on the right side as well, does the 31. So a lot of cars involved in that first caution, and some big names involved in that too. So guys who needed big nights and guys who needed no mistakes and things like that to happen came up with a bunch of cars getting banged up in the first lap. One man who did not get involved in that first caution was the 00 of Jared Mogren. He is out there right now by 1.5 seconds. Stan Kernavin is closing in the gap a little bit on Jared with Mark Martin and Jamie Haynes. Those 3 drivers trying to come up and find the back bumper of that 00, and Jared is trying to get away from as much as possible. We should see pit stops coming pretty quickly. Michael Carter is down pit road as well, trying to get that pit stop underway. But he is currently back in 15th, going to float back to about 17th if he goes 1 lap down here. All right, Jay Greer, glad you guys were able to find the stream again. Like I said before, I apologize. Something is going on with SDK, so ignore the logos and the writing at the top of the screen. I will get that all fixed here before next week's race when we start up the playoffs. But right now, this is the only SDK file that will work for me. So. All right, riding around with Jared Mogart here. He's still not come down pit road, but his gap is closing. Stan Carnathan is closing in on him, but now down to 1.3 seconds around this track. He's closing in almost to the point where he would get a sniff of that draft and be able to close up on the 00 even more. But pit stops should be coming up for a lot of different drivers, and we've seen a handful of them come down pit road already. Only 80 laps tonight, so I don't know exactly what the fuel mileage is, but it should be right around that 30 to 35, 28 to 35 is what I would think for these drivers. But a lot of guys coming in around 25, so I don't know if they're two-stopping it here. We're at 28 right now, and Jared Mogart and Stan Carnathan both dive down pit road to try to get down and grab 4 fresh tires and fuel. That's going to relinquish the lead to Jamie Haynes in the 53 right now, running around with multiple cars stalking him. Jeff No, Jeremiah Nelson, Austin Greer, and Nick Gowan all chasing the 53 right now of Jamie Haynes. I believe that red truck of the 5 is actually one lap down that's chasing him, and that's Jason Fensler, who was involved in the first caution of the night. And it is Jason. As Jason blows by the 53 and unlaps himself. And it looks like the 7 of Jeremiah Nelson's also going to attempt that. Actually, no, sorry. Jeremiah Nelson is on the lead lap. He's now up to 3rd, battling Jeff No. Sounds like some more people are going to be coming down pit road here. We've got the 8 of James Ledford, the 31 of Nick Gowan, and the 94 of Adam Botten all down pit road as well. So yeah, their pit stop is right around that 30 mark. Jimmy Haynes now coming down pit road right now as well with Jeff No and Jeremiah Nelson in tow. They're hitting pit road at lap 28 on their fuel cycle as well. We're 30 laps into this race, so those guys pitted after that first lap caution. Leader right now is going to be Jorge Maricon in the 28. It's going to be taking over the lead, but I don't know how long he's going to be out there. He's only out on 28 laps, so he's going to be probably coming down pit road very shortly as well. Second place is going to wind up being, I think, Nick Gowan, if it works out correctly. Some drivers coming out of pit road right now, 53 and Bunch coming out. And actually, I think the lead's actually going to rotate back to Jared Mogart if this goes correctly. Currently scored second as that 00 is chasing after Jorge Rincon, who has not hit pit road. And as I say that, he hits pit road. So this is going to relinquish the lead back to the leader for most of this race so far, the 00 of Jared Mogart. Looking for his 5th win of the season. If he can complete it, he will tie Nick Gowan with the most wins this season. Of Jason Fensler is going to be scored 2nd. Michael Carter 3rd. Stan Carnathan 4th. Nick Gowan 5th. Mike Miller 6th. Jeremiah Nelson 7th. Jeff No 8th. Austin Greer 9th. And Jorge Rincon comes out 10th after making his long run pit stop. So as of right now, we've got coming to the halfway point, we've got 33 laps completed. We've got 34 as Jared Mogart goes across that finish line. We've got 6 more laps till we get to the halfway point in this race. Fuel stops were about 28 to 31, so they will have one more pit stop before we complete this race, and hopefully a caution doesn't come out towards the end. They only have a few sets of tires tonight, but we'll see if they can complete this thing. I'm going to take a quick commercial break and take a drink here. Done a lot of topping to try to make up for the mistake at the early part of this stream, as SDK was not working correctly. So we'll be right back. Won't miss any of the action. We'll go side by side. All right, back here for American Elite Racing Truck Series at Auto Club. Race number 15 tonight. last race of the regular season. We've reached the halfway point at Auto Club, and your current leader is Jared Mager on the 00. As we were on break, they were watching side by side, where you guys didn't miss any of the action. There has been a ton of action back here for about 11th through 15th. Guys all over each other, making side passes, then cutting underneath each other and making the swap to go back underneath and take that position back. The 28, 53, 94, 23 involved here as well, but he is a lap down with the 8 of James Ledford as well. So clear down from 11th to about 15th, all battling for position back here. But your current leader is Jared Mager, being chased by Jason Fensler. Jared Mager out to about 2.5 second lead over Jason Fensler, who spun on lap 1 out of turn 2 and caused a big wreck that collected a lot of trucks with a lot of different damage, but they do have the one fast repair. So it looks like Jason has cleaned up his truck as he had a lot of damage on that left side, but he has made his way back up to the top 5, recovering very quickly in this race, as we've only had the one stop caution tonight. Nick Gowan up to 3rd. Right now, your current regular season champion, trying to run and finish out his season with another win. He's got 5 on the season. Those 3 drivers, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the point standings as well. Jared Mager with 4 wins with his win last week at Rockingham. Jason Fensler sitting there in 3rd with 2 wins as well this season. Those 3 drivers looking to have a very fantastic race tonight to get their edge back before the playoffs. Mike Miller currently riding in 4th. Very good night for Mike Miller. Would love to see him get up in the top 3 tonight and finish on the podium spot so we can finally do a in-race report or a post-race report with Mike Miller for that Miller family out there that continuously shows up every week, just like Jay Greer. We'd love to see Austin Greer get up there, and he is currently scored in 6th right now, chasing the 5th place driver, Jeff No, in that 55 Winn-Dixie paint scheme. Jeremiah Nelson right behind him in 7th, running around in that Hendricks Auto paint scheme, or HendrickCars.com paint scheme. He is currently in 13th in the point standings, 1 point back from 12th, but that 12th place driver did not show up tonight, so that is going to put Jeremiah Nelson into the playoffs, but he has a chance to move up a couple more positions in the playoffs, as 9th through 12th are only separated by, I think, 20 points. So big things could happen for Jeremiah Nelson. He's got a little damage on the right side, front fender still right behind that right front tire. Currently scored in 8th is that Bullseye paint scheme of Stan Kernethan in the 43. Jamie Haynes, who was leading this race during the pit stops, is currently scored in 9th, being chased by Dylan Pickleson and Jorge Rincon right there, all 3 of them real close to each other. This is the heavy battle that we watched during the side-by-side commercial break between 10th and 15th. Adam Lawton chasing these 3 as well with the lap down truck of Mike York, who's 1 lap down. If we could get a caution, he would be scored as the first truck 1 lap down if he can get by Mike Carter in the 2 truck, who's currently out in front of this group. So he's got to get to that driver and get past him if he wants to be the lucky dog tonight. James Ledford in the 8 chasing this pack as well, with Doug King a little further behind in the 16th. Ethan Greek in the 91 chasing this group as well, but a little further. Michael Carter, like I said, riding right here in the front of that small pack that Mike York is trying to get to in the 2 truck would be Mike Carter. Mike York right here in the 23 that I've been talking about. He's trying to get to Mike Carter to become that lucky dog slot if we wind up having a caution. Charles Mosley Jr. scored 2 laps down, so he's going to have to do some big recovery as well. We've got Mark Morton out of the race, 8 laps down. We are 35 laps to go at Auto Club for American Elite Racing Truck Series at Auto Club, race number 15. If you're just joining back in, ignore the turn down for what logos. It's the only SDK file that will work tonight. For some reason, the American Elite Racing SDK file would not work. So I had to shut the stream down early into the race during that first lap caution, and then reboot everything to try to get one of them to work, and this is the only one that will work tonight. So I've got the labeling correct with American Elite Racing at the top of the screen, but couldn't get the turn down for what logos out of there quick enough. Back up front, Jared Mager in the 00, riding around right now with that blank paint scheme that just says me on the hood, as a la Talladega Nights, with Ricky Bobby missing the Cougar though on the hood. On the back it does say go hard, go fast. Jason Fensler, big recovery for him, was spinning on lap 1 in turn 2 caused a big wreck there, getting the gas a little too early, getting loose, spinning around, doing a 360, making contact with a lot of different drivers. Nick Gowan, one of those drivers that was affected by that caution, made his way back up to the top 3 as well. Going on to the starter stand, watching the 91 complete his lap. Ethan Greek making his second start, return back to AER. We've got the leader of Jared Mager coming underneath the starting stand, now being chased by the second and third place of Jason Fender and Gowan, and here comes the rest of the field chasing him down. Charles Mosley Jr. making another unscheduled stop, now 3 laps down in the race. Right around a lap with your leader, Jared Mager, right now. Let's see what he's looking out through the windshield. Tires must be getting very, very worn. They're 22 laps into a run. You can hear the tires squealing there as he was trying to stay off the wall. Had to get out of the throttle a lot. He is out, though, about 2.5 seconds over second place, which is now Nick Gowan, who has made the pass on Jason Fensler for second. You hear those tires just squealing as he's going through the corners. We're getting ready for pit stops. Jason Fensler hitting pit road first on his 27th lap. We've got 30 laps to go. I don't know if that means he makes it to the end on fuel. It's very close for him if he can make it. He might have to save about a half a lap, maybe a lap. But pretty much Auto Club, you're almost wide open for most of the track on fresh tires. Once the tires start getting a little worn, you got to burp it through the corner or into the corner and let it roll out like Jared's doing right now. But you can hear how long he's out of throttle and back into the throttle to try to get out of the corner, carrying as much speed as possible without going towards that wall, making contact. If you got a favorite driver out there, please let me know, and I will look for him. I know Jay Greer's got Austin Greer, who is now scored 4th because of Jason Fensler making that early pit stop into this green flag run. And he's working on 3rd place, which is the 55 of Jeff No right now. Jeff No looking for his second top 3 finish of the season. Austin Greer looking for his second top 3 finish of the season. And the 15 of Mike Miller, who's now scored 5th, looking for his first top 3 finish of the season. Two truck of Mike Carter is 1 lap down, but has taken his pit stop about 9 laps ago. So he's on a little fresher tires than these guys. His lap times are definitely a little faster. He's running about a 41.1 compared to what Nick Gowan just ran, which was a 42.1. Almost a second faster than second place 9 laps into the run for Mike Carter, but Gowan on a 24-lap run. So there's a huge difference in tire fall off. Fastest lap of the night belongs to Mark Morton with a 40.540, which if you base that off of the 26th lap that the leader just ran, he just ran a 42.393. So a very big difference from the fastest lap of the night, almost 2.5 seconds faster. Big fall off for these tires on late runs because of the gritty surface. That's why apparently NASCAR didn't like the track wasn't going to be repaved or anything like that. Drivers, I think, wanted the track to stay the same. It's a driver's track because you got to balance tire conserving. Fuel strategy comes into play on a lot of the races. It's heavy draft as well that plays into it. But it's very wide track. You see 4 or 5 grooves there where you could be 4 or 5 wide on restarts, and you see that in real life. So I think a lot of the drivers were a little disappointed, as well as myself and a lot of real NASCAR fans. Very disappointed in Auto Club being taken off the schedule, being demolished, and turned into a short track. Not a fan of it whatsoever. But we've got iRacing to still be able to run it. We've got 26 laps to go. Pit stops are underway as Mike Miller and the 43 of Stan Carnathan both hitting pit road with 26 laps to go. That will give them enough fuel to get to the end of the race as the leader of Jared Mager 00 comes down pit road now, relinquishing the lead to the 31 of Nick Gowan, who was closing in the gap just a little bit on Jared, trying to get a fifth win. Both are actually trying to get a sixth win. Jared trying to get his fifth win as well. Second place is going to be Jeff No. Austin Greer now moved up into the third position with the two leaders, or with the leader coming down pit road and relinquishing that to the 31 of Nick Gowan. 45 having a really good run tonight. Definitely in the top 12 for point standings. I'll bring those standings up here again just to show you what everybody is racing for tonight. There is the points. Green coloring on the names means they are automatically locked into the playoffs. Drivers in white are competing for the top 12 spots, and the red drivers means that just outside the top 12. So you see Jeremiah Nelson there with his one win this season, 1 point back from Jim Ott, who is not in the field. So that's going to put Jeremiah Nelson, just by showing up tonight, into the top 12. But Adam Bott and Sam Taylor, Tay McDonald, pretty much out of points range by Jeremiah Nelson showing up. But you never know with the point system. Jeremiah Nelson, though, could jump to as far as 10th if he was able to get a big night tonight, and Dylan, James, and Jim obviously having a bad night by not being here. But Mike Miller up there by 20 points. It would have to be a catastrophic night for Mike Miller to drop from his position. But you see everybody real close in points. Ledford and Pickle Simmer only separated by 12. And then you see Mike Miller and Dylan Pickle Simmer only separated by 3. So big points night all around for different drivers for different needs. Jorge Rincon is going to be back in the lead here with his long run earlier. He's now on a long run again, 27 laps into his run. If he can make the pit stop here in the next lap or two, he will have a slight advantage on the guys who stopped within that 27 to 29 lap range, where he'll have a couple laps of extra fresh rubber on his tires to be able to make up some positions like he has. But he's got some damage on the right side. Not sure how much that's really affecting him, as it looks like it's a pretty just scrape down the right side that came from the caution lap 1, turn 2, when the 5 car decided to do a 360 going into the backstretch. Jason Fenzer, though, will be scored second over Jared Maugard. Mike Carter sitting second. Jason Fenzer pitting 1 lap before Jared did, I believe. Looking at the total, actually, no, 5 laps before Jared. So he was out there on track 5 laps. We saw the 2.5 second fall off from fastest lap of the night to what they were driving at 25 to 30 laps into their run. So Jason out there on track for 5 laps before Jared decided to put tires on. That's 2.5 seconds per lap. So he got out in front of Jared. Will Jared be able to run him back down? He is currently trying to figure out the timing, as they have not cycled through, because Jorge Rincon is just now down pit road. And the lead's going to be relinquished back to the 5 truck of Jason Fensler, and we'll be able to see exactly what the difference is on timing. I think it's about 5 seconds that he gained over Jared Maugard on that pit stop. All right, so as it recycles there, yep, 4.8 seconds is what the lead is going to be to Jared Maugard. Michael Carter, who pit 7 laps before Jason Fensler did and 12 laps before Jared Maugard did, he's actually 3.9 seconds back from Jason Fensler, currently sitting in second, but he's only about a half second in front of Jared Maugard, who's on way fresher tires and is closing in the gap on that 2 truck. As I cycle the camera to him, you'll see him trying to make that pass now on the inside as they enter into turns 3 and 4. He's going to complete that pretty easily with the really fresh tires. Michael Carter just trying to move up front as much as possible, hoping for a caution, and then he could reset into the field in a lot higher position than he would be on a full green or flag run. But Nick Gowan is closing in on both those drivers. Nick pitted 1 lap after Jared Maugard did, so he's got a little bit of fresh rubber, but not very much. If you're just joining into the show, do not pay attention to the logos that are on the SDK coming across the top of the screen with the ticker. SDK was not being happy tonight, and I couldn't find any SDK files that actually worked besides an old Turn Down for What Truck Series one, where I could not swap those out as quick as I needed to, as I didn't know that it was happening until lap 1. We had a caution, so I did get the title changed so you guys can see that it's American Elite Racing, but the logos are Turned Down for What logos, so just ignore those. You got a driver out there that you're paying attention to or watching for tonight in this race number 15, the last race of the regular season. Please let me know, and I will pay attention to them. We'll pull them up on screen. We'll see how they're doing tonight. If the Miller family is out there, your dad is currently in the top 5, closing in on 4th, as Mike Carter, like I said, is on way older tires than everybody else in the top 10, top 20, really, as he is out there on, I think, the oldest set of tires of 19 laps, as Mike Carter is actually, or Mike Miller, sorry, is on 8-lap order tires. So about 11-lap faster tires than Mike Carter. He should close in the gap on him pretty quickly. Look out from a rear chase, actually from the far chase, and we'll see that truck way out in front of Mike Miller right now is the 2 truck. So looking out the cockpit, you see that black truck entering turn 1 right there. That is the 2 truck of Mike Carter, and the trucks out in front of him is Nick Gowan and Jared Monger, who are running down Jason Fenzer. They've shrunk that from 4.5, 5 seconds down to about 3.5 with about 18 laps to go now. Jason Fenzer looking for his 3rd win of the season before going into the playoffs here. He's currently scored 3rd spot in the standings. He's probably going to wind up being there before we go into the playoffs, as I don't know if he can catch Jared or Nick. I don't think anybody can catch Nick at this point before we started this, but Jason, going to be a good night if he can score a win going into the playoffs. That's a good momentum boost. I think that's what a lot of the drivers are trying to do, especially the ones in the top 12 already for the playoffs. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the point standings as well. So these 3 drivers have been very, very dominant. There's only 2 wins in the entire season of 15 races so far that have not gone to those 3 drivers. 1 win going to a driver in the field. That's Jeremiah Nelson, who's currently scored in 10th. He won at Talladega on a last lap pass with a caution, or with a big crash happening. Squirted out of there and got to the front and won that race. I think by half a car. But yeah, big win for him. The only other driver to win, I believe, was Joel Conley, who won a couple weeks ago at Atlanta, I think. So those are all your wins. 5 going to Nick Gowan, 4 going to Jared Mogard, and 2 going to Jason Fenzer. So 11 wins out of 15. If my math is not correct there. Yeah, 11. Okay. So out of 14 races so far. There's a 3rd winner out there, and I don't know who it is. Oh, my math sucks. So it's 12 wins. So 11 wins out of 14. But we've got 15 laps to go here at American Elite Truck Series at Auto Club. Race number 15. Brought to you by KS Gaming Broadcasting. Got 6 races in the playoffs, and we'll crown the champion. Don't know who it's going to be, but these 3 drivers here, Nick Gowan, Jared Mogard, and Jason Fenzer, have definitely put on a show this season. Like I said, 11, 12 wins out of the 14 for those 3 drivers alone. And right now, one of the 3 of them could be possibly getting that another win. 3 wins could be Jason Fenzer, 5 wins could be Jared Mogard, or 6 wins could be Nick Gowan. The 3 of them, Jared Mogard and Nick Gowan, closing in the gap on the 5 truck of Jason Fenzer in that FRE paint scheme. Trying to get to Jason, who pitted well before those 2. So they are coming in a little closer. They're down to about a second, 1.3 seconds back from Jason, and closing fast. As you got Jared Mogard coming with a big head of steam with the 31 tugging along right behind him in tow in the draft. So this is going to get real heated here shortly as these three get closer and closer to each other with now 13 laps to go. Does Jason Fenzer have anything for these two really fast drivers coming up behind him? These three are your championship contenders in a lot of people's eyes. So does Jason throw a block? Does he do everything possible to pinch a driver down underneath him? Does he give up the bottom and run the top to carry more momentum? Does he run up on the bottom and make him go around him on the outside to go longer around the track? It's going to come to a big fruition here if these three get together. But a lot of different drivers in there. Personally, if I'm the Miller family or the Greer family, I want these three to wreck out because Mike Miller and Austin Greer are in the top 6 right now. Mike Miller is sitting 4th, Austin Greer 6th. The gap is down to 2/10 as Jared Mogart has closed that gap, towing Nick Gowan right behind him. Jared going to try to dive underneath the 5. 5 is going to dive down late, trying to pinch the 0-0 so he can't get the run off the corners. Jason's got to hold the top, but it's not completed, and Jared cuts his nose off right there and tries to stay out in front of him. Going to be able to stay and lead the 10 laps to go. Nick Gowan closing in the gap too, so we've got a 3-truck battle here for the lead. Jason Fenzer tucked in behind the 0-0 trying to pull his draft, but I don't think he's going to be able to get underneath that 0-0 with the older tires. And I don't know if Jason can make it to the end either. He's going to be very, very close on that fact. Nick Gowan rubbing the back bumper all over the 5-truck right now, giving him the bumps. I don't know if Jason's going to make it through the corner if Nick keeps giving him the bump like that. Nick pulls around the outside instead of waiting for the bottom to open up, trying to get back to the 0-0. Switches back down to the bottom lane, trying to cut off the momentum and try to get to the draft of the 0-0 to pull him back in within striking distance. 0-0 Jared Mogart now out front by 4/10. 9 laps to go at Auto Club. Leader is now Jared Mogart in the 0-0. The 31 of Nick Gowan currently sitting second. Jason Fenzer in third. Mike Miller in fourth. Could Mike Miller get up and pass the 5-truck of Jason Fenzer? Mike Miller is actually scored 5 seconds back from third place of Jason Fenzer, but Jason Fenzer is falling off ridiculously, and I don't know if he can make it to the end either. So we could see Mike Miller finally getting that top 3 finish if he can get there, but he is being chased also by Jeff Noe, Austin Greer, Jamie Haynes, and Dylan Picklesmeyer, all within 3 seconds of him. Nick Gowan has closed the gap onto the back bumper of Jared Mogart. These two winningest drivers of the season. They finished first and second last week with Jared Mogart taking the win from Nick Gowan, collecting his 5th win of the season. Going for his 6th. Nick trying to get low on the track, trying to carry as much speed, gives him a little rub. Jared Mogart throwing blocks all over the place, I think, too, and that's what's causing Nick to run to the back bumper. Jared going a little high into that corner. Nick went really high into the corner, trying to carry his speed, and I think he got pushed up there, too, with running into the back of the 0-0. Now switching back and forth. 0-0 throwing blocks left and right. 7 laps to go. This is what we've got with 7 laps to go as they go into turn 3. 31 of Nick Gowan going to try to dive underneath him. Jared Mogart giving no slack and cuts back across the front bumper, closing that distance to the 31 to only about, it might have been a brick size between those 2 trucks. Nick Gowan trying to stay in the draft to the 0-0, but every time he gets a run, the 0-0 cuts him off and blocks. That only lasts so long. You can only throw a block once or twice, and a driver who's being blocked is going to say, all right, if you're going to block me, I'm going to turn you. Jared coming really high out of the corner there, almost getting into the wall. Nick Gowan got a huge run down the backstretch, going to the outside, going to complete the pass. If he can do it, dive it into turn 3 and 4. Jared Mogart going to dive it in as well. Gets back to side by side, almost front bumpers matched. Coming out of turn 3 and 4, Nick should have a huge run on the outside. Jared going to go to the apron if he can separate from the 31. 31 is going to lead that lap. 5 laps to go now as they go into turn 1. Oh, and the 00 turns the 31 going into lap turn 1. Caution is out. Nope, no caution, sorry. That's going to relinquish the lead to the 5 truck of Jason Fensler. Wow, 5 laps to go. No caution called for the 00, turning the 31 there into the wall. Both escaped there, but 5 right back to the lead. Jared Mager going to try to run back down the 5 on the old tires. That's going to pretty much, I think, pull Nick Gowan out of the lead and put him back behind in 3rd. Mike Miller now closing in the gap. He is back about 4 seconds back from Nick Gowan, who's got some heavy damage on the right side. Jason Fensler scrapes the wall coming out of turn 2. Jared Mager looking low down the backstretch going into turn 3 and 4. Will clear him into the corner as he goes up high and curves back down to the bottom line. Now 4 laps to go as Jared Mager takes back over the lead. Nick Gowan not going to be happy with the 00 going into the playoffs. Not a good time to really mess up and make somebody mad. And the 5 truck of Jason Fensler is coming down. That's going to move Mike Miller into the top 3. Jason Fensler out of fuel, running down pit road, going to relinquish the lead or 2nd place and go all the way down the field. Not a good night for Jason Fensler. Had to push it though. Jared Mager now out front by about 3 seconds over Nick Gowan and going further and further away from Nick Gowan. Mike Miller closing into 3 seconds back from Nick Gowan. Currently sitting 3rd. This could be the first top 3 finish of the season for Mike Miller. Three to go as Jared crosses the line with 2 laps to go now. Coming out of turn 2, Jared Mager looking for his 5th win of the season. Down the backstretch one more time. Nick Gowan not within closing distance, but Mike Miller is closing. Jared Mager going through turns 3 and 4. Getting to the start cam as the white flag will be in the air this time for Jared Mager to the 00 at Auto Club. 1 lap to go as the white flag is in the air. Nick Gowan currently sitting 2nd, being chased. Mike Miller down 2 seconds now to the 3rd place of, Mike Miller down 2 seconds from 2nd place of Nick Gowan. Jared Mager down the backstretch one more time as he closes in on that 5th win of the season. Going to be some heavy conversation when we get to the post race between 1st and 2nd. Jared Mager to Nick Gowan, I assume. Coming out of turn 3 and 4. Checker flag in the air as Jared comes through and wins at Auto Club race number 15. Final race of the regular season. Big wreck coming out of turn 4. Jamie Haynes spinning around. Austin Greer through the front stretch. Big win for Jared Mager, but I think we're going to be doing some talking to him here after this race is over with Nick Gowan. We'll come back around and watch the 00, but the 31's coming hard and gives him a huge shot at the end of this race. Don't think the 31's happy with the 00 at all. 00, though, going to be your winner. We'll do the burnout and come on right back. All right, we're back here for American Elite Racing race number 15 at Auto Club. Top three coming to the booth. Jared Mager with the win tonight, sealing his 5th win of the season. Nick Gowan finishing second tonight in the 31, your regular season champion. And Mike Miller makes his entry into the top three tonight for a post-race interview. I'm sure the Miller family out there will be glad to hear Mike made the top three. But we'll talk to the winner first, Jared, in the 00. I'm going to ask, what happened there coming out of turn 2 between you and the 31? Was that just bad blocking? Was it net code? Was it just the heat of the race with the final laps coming through there? I think it was laps 7 to go.
Yeah, just hard racing. I thought he was going to arc it more, and I think he was expecting me to kind of turn in a little bit sooner there, and just kind of met in the middle. Looked at the replay and looked like there might have been some net code, but I don't like using that as an excuse. But either way, it's just kind of my fault. I was expecting him to arc it more, and he was expecting me to turn down, and we made contact, and so I myself not very happy about that mistake that I made there at the end. I don't like racing that way. I don't like winning races that way, especially. But me and Nick, we've raced clean all season between the two series. So hopefully he knows that it wasn't intentional. It was just kind of hard racing. But yeah, either way, it's not an excuse on my part. That was just dumb.
Well, with that win, though, you do tie Nick for the most wins of the season. You two have been extremely dominating this season. 15 races completed. You guys have won 10 of them between the two of you. And then Jason Fenzer there sitting in third in the points with 2 wins himself. You three have dominated this season, winning all of these races pretty much, other than the 2 that went out to Jeremiah Nelson at Talladega and Joe Conley, I believe, at Atlanta a couple weeks ago. So, just dominating performances by all 3 of you. You guys were sitting there first, second, and third, coming to those closing laps of less than 10 laps to go. And then Jason, I didn't think he was going to be able to make it because he had pit just so much earlier than everybody else by about a lap or 2, right at the line for 27 laps into his run. So I did not think he was going to make it with 30 laps to go when he pit. But still, you 3, I hate saying it because I don't feel like it's fair to everybody else or respectful to everybody else, but you 3 have got to be the front runners. Do you see you guys that way, or is it, you, Nick, Jason, the only 3 in you guys' opinion because you 3 are so dominating this season, or does anybody else have a chance? Jamie has pointed his way into the top 4. He's been really fast, but has 0 wins. Jeff No's been fast. He's sitting there in 8th. I think he'll move up to 7th. Mike Miller, I think, moves up to, he was 9th. I think he moves up to 8th with his 3rd place finish tonight. Those guys have been pointing their ways in, but you guys have just been winning and winning and winning with streaks all over the place.
Yeah, right now I think me and Nick are probably the top 2 guys right now. I think you asked last week as well, and I know Michael was one that I had mentioned. He's showing speed at times this year just because I had the luck, and finally he got first top 3 of the year, heading right into the playoffs. So you talk about momentum as well going into the playoffs. For him, that's going to be good too. So you can't count him out. James is Fensler is showing speed, obviously, but it seems like the last couple of weeks his strategy calls just haven't quite worked out for him. So I think if he can get on the right side of that, obviously he's going to be a contender as well with us. But it's like I said, it's hard to bet against myself and Nick, I think.
Well, I would say those are the biggest odds for you two, but you never know with the playoffs. The temperatures inside the trucks may kick up a little bit. The drivers' attitudes change when it's all or nothing playoff time. We do have those cut races where guys, if you have a bad race or get involved in an accident, it can take you out of the playoffs from first or second where you two sit all the way to the bottom in the playoffs to the top 12. So one bad race can definitely affect the way the playoffs are cutting out. You got those 5 or 6 races in the playoffs as it is to go all the way to the championship. But I think it's going to be tough with you guys with the bonus points and things like that for the playoffs, but it's going to be close. I think you guys have the best odds, but you never want to doubt anybody in the back who has nothing to lose. So Congratulations on the 5th win again. Like I said, tying Nick with the most wins. You two super dominant. You got the blank paint scheme again with the me. You've won now 2 back-to-back races with that paint scheme. I'm assuming you're going to keep that for the playoffs to try to continue that streak here as we go into the playoffs. But any big shout outs for you or anything like that?
Yeah, we're gonna stick with this man. It kind of reminds me of the old Dale Senior, so I think we're gonna stick with it for a while. But no, just TDS Internet, I buy power computers, Asus monitors, quick your race reports. Jamie and everybody again for putting on the league. You as well for doing the broadcast. Congrats to Nick on the regular season championship as well. And again, sorry for that deal at the end. Just hopefully there's no hard feelings there. It's hard racing, but that's just how it goes. And then congrats to Miller as well, his first top 3. That's pretty cool for him. Like I said, he's showing speed, so you never know. Come playoff time, he could be right up there with us. So we'll enjoy this one and regroup and head on to race 1 of the playoffs.
All right. Well, that is your winner tonight at Auto Club, race number 15, the final race of the regular season. Now closed as Jared Mogert finished second in the point standings, headed into the playoffs. So congratulations on that as well. We'll head over and talk to second place. That is the 31 of Nick Gowan, who also, like I said, has 5 wins. Nick, I'm going to throw the same question. What did you see out the front windshield as you got to 7 to go?
It's tough to swallow. I appreciate Jared taking the blame there. I'll say that much. But I felt like I anticipated he was going to be. I was trying to anticipate him being close to my door. I didn't turn in as normally as I do. Felt like I turned in the same time he usually does for that corner. Looking back at the previous laps and watching him from behind, but there's no changing it now. Can say, I'm still content with the P2. I feel like this is the second race in a row where I had a chance taken away from me, whether it was intentional or not. That's irrelevant, but yeah, just trying to keep this momentum going forward.
Like you said, you did finish second 2 weeks in a row. You've got the 5 wins. You've now been crowned the regular season champion. I know that was a check mark as far as the season goes. That's not the ultimate goal, but that's one of the goals that can be completed, and you definitely checked that off. I think tonight you had it without even doing anything. All you had to do was show up, and I think you locked it in, or even without showing up, you probably still would have locked it in. But with Jared winning tonight, it would have been maybe a little closer, but those are 2 big things. Like I said, you've won a lot this season. You had the 3 race streak. You had other 2 race streaks. You got the 5 wins. We've got a lot of good races coming up in the playoffs. I know we talk about this, it seems like, with you and Jared every single week, because you guys are here in the top 3. I think every race of the season, besides maybe 1 or 2, which Jared missed 2, I think, races. And I don't think you've been outside the top 3 besides more than once, I think. But same question that I gave to Jared. Are you and Jared the 2 front runners, and do you consider anybody else to be, in the slot that could take this away from you? There's a lot of things that can happen in the playoffs. Like I said, attitudes go up, the temperature in the truck rises for guys. They get a little more aggressive. It's the do or die. You got the cut races to make it onto the next rounds. And you got guys out there with nothing to lose who are not even in the playoffs that are running for that first win of the season, trophy hunting. Is there somebody else besides you and Jared, or do you consider this is who I'm battling as Jared?
Stats don't lie as far as when it comes to the playoffs, but Jared is definitely up there. Fensler I feel like when he can get his strategy right, I feel like he can turn it on pretty quickly too. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. I think he's, whether it be intentional or not, I don't know. Maybe accidental, but I think he's just thrown away his race result of where he was running on his strategy that he's chosen. But yeah, as far as the top contenders, it's It's myself and all the Jays, Jamie, Jared, Jason. I mean, I feel like those are the top 4 right there. So, um, Jamie can turn it on too when he really wants to. I don't know what his point situation is like, but I know he's pretty quick and when he has the time and can dedicate that time to getting ready for a race. But having tiny humans makes that a little bit more difficult. And I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't be upset about finishing second twice in a row. I mean, it's still 2 good results, but at the same time, in my mind, I feel like those should have been wins, and that's only going to light the fire even more going into the playoffs.
Well, I mean, going into the playoffs, first round is going to be Dover and Richmond. So, Dover, I mean, it's not an easy track by any means. It's a slippery surface there. Not really a lot of passing, bottom to maybe halfway up into second groove for that track. And then Richmond, short track racing. Those tempers can fly at Richmond. Accidents can happen. Guys bump into each other. A lot of bump and running happening. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like I said with Jared, you even being the regular season champ, you get 1 or 2 bad races throughout the playoffs, and you could be out. So it's a difficult schedule. With round 8, you've got Lucas Oil and then New Hampshire. Not 2 easy tracks again. And then the final race is Vegas, which is obviously, to me, the easier track out of all of the playoff races. It's a normal, style track. It's one that's usually run most schedules for leagues. But I mean, obviously you have that benefit of being the regular season champ, but I don't think you can take your foot off the gas. I think this momentum of 2 races in a row, and I think you won the races prior to that. I think you were on like a 5 out of 6 race win streak out of those. I think it's 7 races. I think you won 5. So I don't know what you're going to look at for the schedule as the biggest obstacle. Is there a track that you think could be the biggest obstacle for you?
No, not really. I mean, I know that I'm strong at Dover and New Hampshire, so those are the 2 tracks that I know that I can. I know I have pace at, historically speaking. And I mean, knowing if I can put in 2 good finishes there, I think I'll be okay and get myself into the final race.
Well, that is our second place finisher, Nick Gowan in the 31. Nick, you got any shout outs?
Shout out to IM Motorsports, or Eons Motorsports, the rest of the team. I think we had Jeff No finish 4th tonight and Stan finish 8th. So
3
cars in the top 10. Yep. So hoping to continue that.
You got to get Mike in there.
Yeah. I mean, he just hasn't had very good luck lately. So like just stuff happens. And but when he's able to have a clean race, he can have a really, really good finish. He's a good driver. So he has the capability to do so. So and thank you for doing the broadcast, and I look forward to tomorrow night as well.
Yep, that would be Velocity Motorsports coming back for that one, 3rd race of the season. You won last week at Texas, so a lot of winning in your past here, and I think you got a lot more wins coming in the future as we go on through these seasons. But congratulations again. It's a road course. I said it last week. You're the top dog at road courses when I look at a lot of different leagues, so I expect to see you again tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We're going to talk to 3rd place, and that is first time being in the top 3 post-race interviews. Miller family, I hope you're sitting out there still waiting as your dad is coming up in the booth. Mike Miller in the 15 Toyota TRD that I've been calling out all season to be in Discord so I can bring you up. You're finally here. It's now a top 3 finish. Congratulations on the top 3 finish. I think you've been a top 3 driver a lot of different tracks, but that Rabbit's Foot is not on your side at all, along with a couple other drivers, Mike York being one of them as well. You guys having some of the worst luck out there. And actually, Mike York was one of the drivers that in, I think it was Kansas or whatever it was during the regular season here, where you were doing very well in the top 5, and Mike's wheel shut off and came right back up into the top drivers, and you were the one collected in that one. So no mistakes tonight, no other errors from different drivers that collected you. What does this feel like to make it to the top 3, and how happy does it make you feel that your girls have been watching all season to try to get you into this top 3 podium?
Oh, it definitely feels good. Felt we deserved to be here quite a few times, but like you said, that rabbit's foot, it gets you. Um, got me definitely way more than once this season. I believe that was Knoxville,
Or it
where
might have been
Jordan
Knoxville,
lost.
yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty good on the dirt.
Yeah, it's been an eventful season for you. I've been watching you, kind of rooting you on, not trying to show a lot of favoritism, but I definitely root you on, especially with your family tuning in and week out. I try to pay attention to where you're at for them. But I mean, you've been a top 10 driver in almost every track we go to, but that just I don't even know. It's not a lucky rabbit's foot. I would say it's the cursed rabbit's foot because it just seems to find you on every single track we go to at some point. But this one must have been far enough away from Auto Club that it didn't strike you. But you're gonna make it into the playoffs. You were sitting there ninth before this race started. I think with your finish here and Jeff No finishing right behind you, he was sitting eighth. So I don't know if you're gonna move up, but I think you might jump seventh, possibly for both of you. But we're going to the playoffs. Is there a track on the playoff schedule? I was going through that list there with Nick. Is there a track that you're going to be looking at here in the first round of the playoffs, whether it's Dover or Richmond, to try to make it into that round of 8?
I think I'm pretty good on short tracks. If we can stay out of trouble there, I think we can probably for sure get a definite top 5. But the trick is we gotta keep it clean and just stay up front. Like you were saying earlier, I don't think there's nobody catching the top 3. If we can get their crumbles and get in the top 5, that's a win.
I mean, you just have to be within striking distance. We saw you riding in fourth with the top 3 being the top 3 in the points tonight. They were sitting first, second, and third, and Jason missed on strategy and had to come down pit road with, I think, 4 or 5 laps to go there, and you slipped right into that third position. So as long as you're within striking distance, you never know what can happen with those top 3 drivers. Whether it's strategy or, Jared Moggart and Nick Gowan almost had a big wreck there on the backstretch where it could have taken them both out. And you could have been right here in the first position to take the win. So as long as you're within striking distance, I think you have a puncher's chance every single time. You're very fast. You got a lot of skill. Just got to figure out that luck situation. It seems like you may have broken that streak tonight and gotten rid of those demons and come home third. So congratulations on that. Any big shout-outs for you or anybody you want to thank out there?
We appreciate it. I guess the 3 or 4 people that keep watching, and definitely you for putting it on, because I definitely go back and watch the races and enjoy watching the races. Figured out where I messed up, what went wrong, what was good. Just kind of analyze the race, and it helps me improve for next time.
Well, I'm glad you go back and rewatch those races. It's probably not a good race to go back and watch till after about lap 15, as I was having some technical difficulties with SDK at lap 1 when Jason Fenzer went around in a 360 coming out of turn 2, but was able to get it fired back up with, I think, 14 or 15 laps into the race. But we'll get that fixed by next Monday. We'll get everything straightened out and figured out on SDK and go into the playoffs and see where you can come out and maybe you can make it to the championship 4 and go after this championship and try to knock off one of these guys who've been so strong this season. So good luck, and we'll see if you can make it 2 in a row next week at Dover.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're definitely gonna keep our eyes down and push the front. We'll see where we end up.
All right, well, that's third place finisher Mike Miller in that 15 Toyota Terra D. Coming home third tonight, and we'll see what he can do next week at Dover as we go into the first round of the playoffs, the round of 12, as he is locked into the playoffs along with the other 2 drivers who finished second and first tonight. The rest of the drivers, I think it's going to come down to Jeremiah Nelson making it into the playoffs with Jim Ott missing tonight. I think that moves Jeremiah Nelson into the top 12. He may have jumped a couple other spots as he was within striking distance of 11th and 10th. And he did finish 5th. So if he did jump a couple more positions, that will be your top 12. Jared Moggart, Nick Gowan, Mike Miller, Jeff No, Jeremiah Nelson, Dylan Pickle Simmer, Austin Greer, Stan Kernathan, Jamie Haynes, Jason Fensler. I can't remember who else is on that list, but that is your at least 10 or 11 of those guys. We'll come back tomorrow night for Velocity Motorsports. Road course racing is where we're headed to Canadian Tire in the Next Gen Series. Joining the booth with my brother Shadilak for that series. We'll be back tomorrow night around 7:15 going live for that one. Race goes green, I think, at about 8:05. We'll do the pre-race show and talk to the different drivers. Like I said, Nick Gowan running in that series as well. Won last week at Texas. See if he can go 2 in a row. We've had 2 different winners in a row there with the 77 winning in the first race and then Nick winning in the second race. We'll see if we can go back to back with Nick or if we'll have a third different winner. Appreciate everybody out in the chat. Appreciate everybody watching and rewatching the stream as well. I do apologize for the beginning of the stream. Like I said, SDK was acting up all over the place. Couldn't get any of the SDK files to work on stream until I found one for Turn Down for What that worked. So when you go back and rewatch this, ignore the logos. But thank you again. We'll be back tomorrow night.